Welcome to Chad the Home Care Guy. Real conversations about aging, home care, and the decisions families face every day. Hosted by Chad Fisher, founder of Avail Home Care. Because caring for the people you love shouldn't be confusing. Let's get started.
All right, guys. Chad the Home Care Guy podcast by Avail Home Care. And today I have a special interview with a friend of mine, Dusty, with K2 Wounds. Glad to have you on.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Looking forward to it.
So why don't you start off by saying a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you ended up here.
Again, as Chad said, my name is Dusty with K2 Wounds, originally from Minnesota. And my wife, Carly, and I, we moved down here to the Tampa area 13 years ago.
Oh, cool.
13 years ago. How I ended up here is, it's a story I've shared a lot of times. I started off working in the boat business, the marine industry, and I did that for 11 years, something like that.
Yeah.
About 2.5 years ago or so, really came across the wound care industry. A friend of hers was struggling with a foot ulcer, and she was talking with him off and on.
And that's your wife, by
That's
the way.
my wife. Sorry, Carly's my wife. So she started our company. And it came about because she heard about a mobile nurse practitioner going to see her friend to treat the foot ulcer, and she kind of connected the dots about my stepdad, who 3-4 years ago had his right leg amputated because of wounds he suffers with on his lower part of his legs.
Okay.
And she thought that if we could connect the same type of treatment her friend was getting with Doug, my stepdad, that we could help extend the life, his life and save his left leg, which was very close to also becoming amputated.
Okay.
And so I started seeing what she was doing, and then seeing the results that he got from the first couple of treatments. And it was kind of like an aha moment.
Right.
I had no idea how big the senior healthcare industry was at the time.
Like me, I didn't either.
I had no idea how many providers there are for not just wound care, but across all sorts of stuff, because the market need is that good.
Right.
It's that great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that need care. So and that was 2 or so years ago, and here we are.
Wow. Pretty crazy. So what does K2 Wounds actually do when you visit a patient with a chronic or a non-healing wound?
So the first thing that we'll do is one of our clinicians, our nurse practitioners, will do an evaluation or an assessment and determine, the history. Sometimes we get really, really good notes from a home health company or from a primary care doctor that's been treating it.
Nice when that happens, right?
Very nice.
Yeah. But it doesn't happen all the time.
It does not happen with us.
Yeah, we know.
All the time. So in the situations where we're, kind of starting from scratch, so to speak, then we're going to do that evaluation and determine what the best treatment protocol is.
Yep.
And partner with, with other care providers, and whether, private duty like Avail or home health companies, and make sure that patient is getting the most complete care plan possible.
Yeah.
To help that chronic or non-healing wound progress in a positive direction,
Right.
so that they can ideally stay in their home or assisted living, memory care, whatever setting it is.
What types of wounds are you really seeing in Florida? Huge senior population, with all the seniors coming in and out of the hospital and all the things that they go through with falls and whatever else. What's like the major wounds that you're seeing the most of? Or is there even one single wound that you're seeing the most of?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily one single one, but we've got the common culprits: pressure sores, diabetic foot ulcers, venous insufficiencies that then lead to degradation of the skin and other things, and skin tears. Unfortunately, we see
seniors. It's a big one.
The thing that was really surprising to me when we first were entering this industry was how quickly a senior who's otherwise healthy can decline just because of a fall. They bump a piece of furniture, and then there's some compounding factors that they're dealing with medically, and they can go downhill really, really fast.
Yeah.
It was really disheartening to see that.
It's crazy because my mom's 82 now, and when she comes over to our house, we've got a 1-year-old puppy, and constantly, he's big, it's a black lab, but constantly wanting to jump up because I allow him to jump up and kind of hug on me all the time. Every single time I have to make sure, because her skin is so thin that just the tiniest little bit of a jump up and scratch. I mean, she's got gashes coming down her arms just from my dog saying hi.
Right.
But I don't think people realize how thin and how easy that happens just from, like you said, bumping a piece of furniture can be life changing.
Absolutely.
It's crazy how thin their skin gets.
Yes.
But I see it firsthand all the time too. So, how does your mobile wound care model work in homes and assisted living communities?
So once we have completed that evaluation and determined what treatment plan and treatment schedule that we're going to recommend, then we send orders to all of the care providers and clinicians that are caring for that senior.
Okay.
So we send orders to the primary, we send orders to the home health if they are seeing a home health. And then if they have, if they have a company like Avail partnering with them, we'll even leave a copy with the resident,
which is great.
So then that way everyone's on the same page, not necessarily from the, a granular level from a clinical perspective, but just somebody's coming to visit them. They can see that, oh, hey, so-and-so's coming tomorrow, whether that's us, whether it's somebody else. And then it keeps things on a predictable schedule for that resident, whether they're in an assisted living.
That's what I was going to ask.
Or they're in their private home.
Restrictions of where you go.
There's always red tape and insurance stuff that any skilled provider has to deal with. And so where we focus because of some of those regulations is private homes, assisted livings, memory care, dependent living, and then we partner with skilled facilities upon discharge.
Okay.
Or sometimes we've gone in to help if there's a heavy caseload on the long-term side.
Yep.
Just to make sure that the patients are getting the most timely care possible.
Yeah. How do you explain advanced wound products and skin substitutes to non-medical families? How does someone like me, if you came into my mom's home, how do you explain that to them to where they understand all this stuff?
It's
because they want to. They want to know what's going to happen or how things are going to work.
1,000,000%. I was just on the phone last night and then this morning with the son of somebody that we started taking on their wound care, and they were asking similar questions. And so I'll pull up the orders from our nurse practitioner team, so then that way I'm not misrepresenting anything or misexplaining something. And if they want to get into the weeds on it, then I'll start explaining things about where a skin substitute is derived from, right? It's amniotic tissue, right? Okay. So it comes from a planned C-section. The placenta is then sent off to a couple of companies that specialize in creating these skin substitutes from there.
Cool.
And then there's growth factors in there that actually help regrow the skin.
Okay.
And there's a lot of other things besides that. There's products that are derived from cold water fish peptides and a host of all sorts of other things.
That's crazy.
It is. It's kind of, I kind of feel like I'm, on like a sci-fi show when I'm reading through some of this stuff. It's wild stuff.
How readily available is product? Because I know that wound care has blossomed, I would say, over the last couple of years. We definitely see more and more companies out there doing it.
Yeah.
So is there any shortages, or is there anything that's happened since you've started to where you see something where it's like a fight to get product, or is it pretty readily available, especially with these new things that are coming out? So the reason why they're coming out.
So the readily available, there was no issue getting products that we needed for patients up until maybe the last 2 months. And because of a lot of the changes that have come down across the skin substitute industry, a lot of manufacturers have tightened the supply chain.
Okay.
And so what we've done with some of our partners is, as best as we can, forecast what we need to make sure that patients are never left without the best possible treatment.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. That actually leads into my next question with how do Medicare rules and coverage affect what treatments you can offer in Florida right now?
So
big changes.
Big changes. Yeah. They don't greatly limit what treatments are necessarily available. But as I mentioned just a minute ago, the ripple effect of the changes that Medicare CMS put into effect on January 1st has affected manufacturers of the skin substitutes in terms of them just evaluating how much they should actually make.
Okay.
Because depending on the geography, the patient caseload, providers have just reevaluated what percentage of their treatments are going to use skin substitutes.
Okay.
Because one, there's somewhat of a shortage, but then two, these changes from the CMS guidelines have unfortunately had even greater impacts across patient accessibility to some of these treatments.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I knew that not that long ago they were going to start coming down with some stuff. And, I don't dabble in your world too often. I try to learn a little bit about this stuff, especially during this podcast. I try and get into everyone's world a little bit through this, which is actually awesome because it allows me to learn more about what everybody can provide to be a better partner for everybody.
Yeah, I learned a lot just from watching other episodes.
Yeah, it's definitely been very good doing this, and I love the fact that we're able to get this stuff out to people, because how else would anyone know about any of this information?
Yeah.
And it could be someone today that's watching or sending this to a family member, and all of a sudden tomorrow they've got a wound, or they've got something they need, and they're like, oh, I actually know about this. There's a place I can call. Let me ask you this one. Can you share a story without any names? Can you share a story where a specialized mobile wound care has changed the patient's outcome? This could be the family's.
I was going to say, I mean, on our website, I have a little interview that
I saw
that I did with my stepdad, because that was life-changing for him, life-changing for my mom. They live in Brooksville now.
Yep.
After they came down to get the first round of treatments a couple of years ago, and it has changed both of their lives.
Yeah.
In terms of, he still has his leg.
Yeah. I mean,
but that alone is life-changing. But then two, the things that, he's able to do together with my mom, we just went up there a couple weeks ago, and, he was able to get in the pool and swim.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Being able to do that within a couple years time, thinking that you're going to lose your leg, and then within a couple of years, you're, still thriving and being able to go swimming and get in a pool. And I mean, that's life-changing. It really is, especially at the golden years, when someone can create some kind of a benefit like that to change your life. It's incredible. What does a good collaboration look like between K2 Wounds and, let's say, a home health or a home care, or like what's a good way to go together on stuff or be able to refer you or whatever? What are you looking for?
I mean, each referral, comes with a lot of trust. Somebody's reaching out to us to trust that we're going to be able to, to provide the best care for that patient, which is somebody's family member. And the collaboration is just straightforward, transparent communication.
Yeah.
We work with a lot of different home health companies, and we understand that there's a place for us and that there's a place for other care providers.
Yeah.
Whether it's home health.
Is that your number one referral partner, is all the home healths? You think you get some majority?
So we get a lot from home health companies. We get a lot from skilled nursing facilities when they're looking to, to send that patient, that resident back home.
Yeah.
And they want to make sure that the care plan is in place so that resident patient doesn't readmit, whether it's back to the skilled facility or back to the hospital, because sometimes the patient goes from the hospital to the skilled facility or the rehab.
Yeah.
And then the next step is to get them back home, whether that's in an assisted living or a memory care, or their own home sometimes with other family members.
Yeah. Do they discharge? What's the discharge plan looks like for someone who still has a wound? Because normally you would think, and someone who's going in the hospital that has a wound would probably think that, hey, I'm not going home until it's cured or whatever.
Right.
How does that work? Because I know that there's a certain time frame that Medicare, Medicaid, all those will only pay so many days. So
there's a host of factors. I mean, we see a fair number of referrals from, skilled nursing facilities and rehabs who they look at, okay, the patient only gets so many skilled days per calendar year.
Right.
And if they've made really good progress over a few weeks or something, but then it kind of just stalls out,
Yeah.
a lot of times the staff at the skilled facility, they're looking for ways to preserve some of those days
Okay.
in the event that, something does regress. And at the same time, they've got to formulate a safe discharge plan. So if somebody goes into a skilled facility or a hospital with, say, a 3, and they're able to, get it down to a 2 and it's smaller in size,
Yeah.
but then it could be due to comorbidities, it could be due to compliance, other things, it just kind of stalls out.
Yeah.
That's where a company like us partnering with a home health and then partnering with, a company like Avail for just simple things as, offloading and getting them moving around to promote circulation.
Yep.
You stack those things with really good wound care and a good team surrounding that resident.
Yeah.
And then a piece of it too is a lot of times they heal better when they're back in their comfortable home.
That's
Whether
what
that's assisted living.
Yep.
You get them in familiar surroundings where family can come see them more.
Yeah. They mentally thrive. Their body's going to
You're
thrive.
spot on.
And that's another thing too, is when you're in the hospital and let's say you've got this wound that's not healing, but you've healed from whatever you were in there for, but the wound just happens to not be fully healed. You're allowing the discharge home to where these hospitals and discharge planners, the big thing in our industry obviously is readmission. You want to get away from all these readmissions.
Yep.
So it's honestly just a way for them to protect themselves, to know that, hey, I'm not going to send Mr. Jones home and he's going to come back and it's going to be a readmission and it's going to be for this wound that he has that we were treating, whatever, but it wasn't even what he was in for.
Exactly.
So either way, that probably still looks bad on the hospital. So they want to make sure that, guys like us and you and, a few others, that we take care of them at home. That way they don't come back.
Yes.
So I think that's huge for our industry. I think people don't really understand these outside, I don't know if I consider myself a mobile, but we do send people out to their homes. So, we are, yes, I guess considered a more of a mobile business, but people don't know the mobile industry. And I know that we've tried over the last few years to do mobile only marketing type things like events,
right?
Like all mobile.
Exactly.
Come here and see. Because even my own family, my own mother didn't know that there was mobile wound care. She didn't know that there was a mobile doctor that could come to the house and treat her in the home if she was sick. Mobile podiatry,
mobile dermatology, there's
mobile dentistry. I mean,
mobile vision.
There is so many things that people don't understand that it's available to them. It's crazy.
And that it's not, in almost every instance, it's no extra money than if you go to a brick and mortar clinic.
Right.
And to your point, when we were entering this industry, we had no idea how many mobile resources there were.
Yeah.
I mean, for up in Wisconsin where my mom and stepdad were, he was still going to a wound clinic.
Right.
And this was 3 years ago.
Yep. Yeah. And if you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly.
That generation grew up going to a doctor, and that's just what you did. Generation before that, the doctor came to you. And so now we're back in that kind of mode again where the doctor can come to you. And that was the thing that I think most people say that they would miss anyhow, but they just don't know that it's available because insurance, unfortunately, dictates a lot of this process and what you do. And so, it is what it is. We could talk about that forever.
Well, but then it underscores what you said a few minutes ago about the platform that this serves.
Yeah.
Is educating people about all of the tools and things and resources that they have access to that will come right to them.
Yep. Yeah. People just don't get it. So again, on a side note, if you're watching this, please subscribe, like, share this with family members, share it with, church members. It doesn't matter who it is. These services, really are great providers for all kinds of people. It doesn't have to be one demographic. And if you don't live here and you're watching this from somewhere else, start researching these services up where you're at as well, because they are available. They're everywhere. That being said, what red flags should make a family call a specialized wound care team like yours? What should they be looking for? What makes that phone call?
If if it's something that is not improving within just a handful of days.
Okay.
And I know that seems kind of like well, geez, with a senior with frail skin and blood thinners, nothing's going to get better. Well,
Right.
a lot of times it will take the bumping the furniture, right? If there's clotting and scabbing and it's closed, like that's the body doing what it's supposed to
Right.
do.
So it's healing. at that
But the
point.
body, the body is doing. No, that doesn't mean you just let it go.
Right.
But then that's most likely a situation where some monitoring of family or maybe a home health or an aide, somebody that can keep eyes on it and understand it started at A and it's progressing. I mean, it's not going to progress like if you and I hit our skin,
Right.
but as long as it's making positive progression, then let the body do what it's going to do.
Yeah.
When you start stacking, things, diabetes and blood thinners and some things that unfortunately a lot of our senior population today deal with, it makes it very challenging for that to heal on its own.
Sure.
A lot of times, we're able to get in front of things when it's maybe just been present off and on for a couple of weeks and it doesn't turn into this really gnarly situation.
Right.
Other times there's a history behind it and it's opened and closed and opened and closed. And then that's when you got to really get somebody like us or another advanced wound care company
Get to the bottom of it.
to really understand what is the root cause. They can do an ABI and understand some of the underlying causes that are causing this to not heal.
Okay. Any future innovations in remote monitoring or chronic care management that you're most excited about?
Well,
Any new products?
yeah, I was going to say, so this is, I'm going to segue off of that because just last week we, in our toolbox, we got access to it's a percutaneous micro implant for painful diabetic neuropathy, which corresponds with, because a lot of times when we get called in, the patient doesn't even know they have something because they can't feel it.
Right.
And so this device it's an outpatient procedure that can be done in Florida by a nurse practitioner or an MD or a PA. And it's a little device that goes behind their ear and they wear it for 20 days and it's like a micro electric impulse.
Yeah.
And then it stimulates the nervous system. So then that way it restores feeling
Yeah.
and it reduces the pain.
Okay.
They wear it for 20 days, it comes out, but it's FDA cleared and all this other stuff. And I'm working on getting stuff up on our website because I just found out about it last week. So
Okay. What else does that help with? Anything else in the body that would?
I mean, it's gonna improve just overall nervous system health.
Okay.
But the biggest advantage is that it reduces pain.
Sure.
And that it improves, feeling and awareness throughout the body so that if they do have a pressure sore or if their shoe isn't fitting correctly, that's
Right.
something we'll see a lot. They're actually going to be able to recognize something's not right.
Yeah.
4 weeks go by and then all of a sudden, son or daughter's visiting.
Yep.
And they take their shoe off and, whoa, what is that? Where did that come from?
Right.
And nobody knew it was there.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Technology, it's awesome, and at the same time, sometimes it's the opposite of that.
Yes.
For things like this, for medicine and the things that that we dabble in,
Yes.
some of this technology it blows my mind.
It is.
I mean, the fact that they're going to implant something in the back of your ear for 20 days and it allows you to have feeling in your
crazy.
your body is
It is
unbelievable.
It's crazy.
But it's cool. I guess
It
that's where
is.
we're headed. We're in for the ride, I guess.
Yeah. Well, who knows what's in store for us?
Exactly. That's crazy. Well, give everybody a little spiel about where to find you, phone number, website.
Yeah. Our website's pretty easy. It's k2wounds.com. You can reach us. Phone number is 727-346-8050. Email is just info@k2wounds.com. There's submission forms if you'd like any additional information or if you have questions. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find on there and reach out there.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chad.
Right on. Great, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. So listen, you guys, K2 Wounds, Dusty, he's your guy. If you need anything, either reach out to him, find him on LinkedIn, like he said. If you missed some of that for some reason, reach out to me. and I will link you together with Dusty, and we'll get you taken care of. But until next time, like, subscribe, and share. Please, please, please subscribe. The more subscribers I get, the better the algorithms are to get this information out to the people that really need to know what it is that we're talking about. So, all right, guys, until next time, this is Chad, the home care guy, and I will see you later. Take care.